Today on Hawks Next, we're going to be talking about a recap of last weekend's basketball games and a preview into this weekend's games. Welcome back to Hawks Nest. I'm Maddie Little.
And I'm Zach Tate.
I noticed you had your Rams jersey back there. You still on that loss last
Yeah,
weekend?
well, you can't just give up on them. It definitely was not our best showing of this season, but we're just gonna ignore it. We're gonna let's get to the show.
Okay.
So starting off, Southeast men's basketball ended up going to Tennessee for a couple of games. They played Belmont and Tennessee State, and not have the best of weekends, and came away with 2 losses there. So let's just kind of dive into that first one against Belmont for a little bit. Definitely not the greatest start to the game.
No, not at all. They missed those first 5 shots, which kind of starts out the game. So from there, they just kind of went downhill.
Oh, yeah, for sure, throughout the whole thing. I mean, they ended up having the Bruins of Belmont go on a couple of runs there in that kind of second quarter time of the first half, and they were down 47-29 at halftime, so not exactly their best showing there, but they tried to come back a little bit there in the second half.
And freshman Isaiah Gay will drain those 3-pointers and narrow Belmont's lead with 36-26. So
yeah, and then we also had Alex Caldwell do a couple of good things. He had a couple of big shots there in the second half, but really wasn't able to do much for him. He did score, 16 points?
Yeah. And then Ladarius Brewer also led SEMO with 22 points as well.
Yeah, Ladarius, he's been doing a lot of great things this season, but not really able to come away with anyone in that one. SEMO ended up losing to Belmont 97-71, and looking at Tennessee State,
they scored that season low of 50 points, and they weren't able to crawl out of that hole that they dug themselves.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at that first half, they had their second lowest scoring first half of the season, only scored 20 points. And when you go into halftime down 25, it's not going to be a good time in the second half.
Right. And then junior Skylar Hogan buried the 3-pointer at the 3:25 mark, and so that was pretty big for him.
Yeah, it did cut the lead to, I think, around 35 or something like that. Like, it wasn't a good one. They were able to come back a little bit and kind of try to piece together a little something, but was not the best showing, and they ended up going a period of, 12 minutes with no scores?
Yeah, unfortunately it wasn't enough to tie the knot in that game. But let's go ahead and talk about women's basketball. Last weekend, they played against Belmont and Tennessee. Why don't you go ahead and get started with those?
Yeah, I mean, the women did not have a great first game there against Belmont. Belmont's one of the best teams in the women's league of the OVC, and it kind of shows. So SEMO definitely struggled there in that first half whenever Belmont hit 8 3-pointers, and they went into halftime down 42-23.
Yeah. Belmont led the entire game, so it wasn't looking too hot for the Red Hawks. It was their largest advantage at 35 with 3:18 still remaining in the game.
Yeah, definitely not a great showing. T.C. Thompson ended up doing a little bit for SEMO there. She ended up scoring 21 points and got another double-double for the season because she pulled down 10 rebounds. But definitely need a little bit more supplementary action there.
Absolutely. They still ended up losing 91-51. So they can never really pull together and come up on top with that game.
Yeah, it was tough to watch.
Yeah, it was. The game against Tennessee, though, they also lost, but it was a closer game between them.
Yeah, that one kind of got you with the heartbreak. I'd almost rather lose by 12 than lose by 2. So the women really struggled there to come away with the lead. T.C. Thompson ended up getting her 8th double-double back-to-back. She finished with 14 and 11, but there in that third quarter, they really struggled to be able to take that lead, get over that hump.
Yeah, it was hard for them. They couldn't get by those Tigers.
No, not at all. And I think, how many times did they score, or did they come within a point or two in that
14 points. They just pulled with 11 rebounds and.
Yeah, it was a close one, and Carrie Shepard, she ended up doing fantastic for the team. Hit a couple of big threes, and she ended up finishing with, 20 points in the game. So she did well, but when you lose by 2, it is really a heartbreak. 61-59. It's a tough one to swallow there, I think.
It is, yeah.
But looking forward for both the men's and the women, they'll be playing Jacksonville State this Saturday now that they're deep into conference play. And I think both teams really need a win here to bounce back from those road losses and try to piece together a couple if they want to be able to make the tournament.
Definitely, yeah, I agree. On gymnastics, we host Northern Illinois here. We're still looking for that first season win, so we'll see if we get that. And then on Saturday, softball, we have a doubleheader in Cedar Falls against South Dakota State and Northern Iowa. That's also the first games of the season, so we'll see how they do this weekend.
Yeah, there's a lot of SEMO sports going on. Definitely a busy weekend, and hopefully everyone's able to make a little something happen. And SEMO needs to find a little bit of success after that rough weekend.
They sure do.
And I think that's all we got for you guys this week. Thanks for coming out, and be sure to come back, check the show out next week, and be sure to always check for more content on our Facebook page.